everyone, and welcome back to Cram Farms. Today is part 2 of our buying in bulk and then our long-term food storage. So yesterday's video, if you missed it, is about buying in bulk, why we buy in bulk, and the cost savings of buying in bulk versus just going to the store and buying multiple packages of something each month. So I'll link that video below if you missed yesterday's video, but today's video is going to be all about long-term storage, what you need to do that, and how to do it. So come along, I can't wait to show you how easy this really is. Let me tell you the few things that you need to have on hand in order to do long-term storage. So if you're just planning on, you want a 50-pound bag, you feel like it's something you'll go through pretty quickly and you don't need to store it long-term, then you could store this in your pantry in a 5-gallon bucket and you could just use it, you know, as you would when you're baking and cooking. If it is something you plan on storing long-term, you're gonna need something a little bit more that will keep out bugs, that'll keep out light, that'll keep out moisture. And that's where Mylar bags come in. Now, if you aren't familiar with a Mylar bag, they come in lots of different sizes. These, I know they look large, but they're perfect for 5-gallon buckets. And you are able to seal these bags with just an iron. And I'm going to show you how I do that in just a little bit. And then the other thing that you will need is oxygen absorbers. And you put these in so that it protects your food from moisture. They are made to absorb moisture. So once you open them, you need to pop them in what you're going to be sealing up and then seal these back up really quickly. So I use a vacuum sealer to seal these oxygen absorbers back up after I open the package. So other than some buckets, Mylar bags, and oxygen absorbers, really the only other thing you need is an iron and the vacuum sealer, just some way to seal back up your oxygen absorbers when you're done. I'm going to show you how we pack our buckets, and let's get going for that. One question you might have is, how do you stock up? How do you afford to go and just spend $48 on a bag of sugar? That's a huge chunk of a grocery budget. So there's several ways you can do this. You can set aside a portion of your grocery budget every month. You can just make a purchase like twice a year. So maybe you do it every 6 months where you buy enough for 6 months, then enough for 6 months where you're constantly keeping it. But you also need to figure out, what is your goal? Are you trying to keep a year's worth of storage? Are you trying to keep 6 months or 3 months? What's your goal? How large is your family? Because that's going to tell you how much you need to store. And how easily available, how readily available are these items at your grocery store. So for us, we have to make a little bit of a drive in order to buy these items in bulk. But the price savings that I get, I'm willing to make that drive and stock up for, we have close to a year's amount of storage on like basic pantry items. So it also helps that when I'm cooking, I'm not running out of something, I have extra. We have extra 5-gallon buckets. What I do when I run out of one bucket, we take the next bucket, unseal the Mylar bag, that bucket goes into the bucket that I'm using in the pantry, and then that bucket is empty. And so I'll know that, okay, the next time I make a bulk run, I need to get enough to fill that bucket back up. So once you know kind of how much you need to have on hand for your family, how much, depends on how much bread making you do in a year, or how much, like with us, we make kombucha, so we use a lot of sugar for that purpose. So how much sugar do I need on hand depends on how much kombucha I'm making for our family. And so you can break that down by week. I know that we make this much kombucha in a week and I use this much sugar for it. Figure that out by the month and then figure that out by the year. And it should give you a roundabout estimate of how much sugar you're gonna need. And then give or take a little bit more if you do some baking around the holidays or things like that, you might need extra sugar. So one way is to save a little bit out of your grocery budget each month. The other thing is to, you can do like buys twice a year, or you can kind of just budget it out as like a line item. Like if in your budget, if you have a household supplies item and you have a grocery budget, you could have a bulk budget like line item. And so you could say, okay, I'm gonna put $20 a month in our bulk line item for grocery budgeting. And once you build up like $100, you could go spend it until you get yourself built up. Once you get yourself built up a year's worth of food storage, then all you're really doing is just replenishing when that runs out. All right, so this bag looks really huge right now. I promise it's not gonna be that big. It's gonna fill up the space of the bucket. But then we're also going to fold this down and seal it to get all the air out of it before we close up the bucket. So you wanna start by just putting your Mylar bags inside of your buckets. Soft white pastry flour.
Is that the white bag?
All right, so we've got our 4 buckets ready. Now these buckets will not hold the entire, like soft white wheat pastry flour comes in 25 pounds. It will not hold the entire 25 pounds, but pretty close. So what I'm gonna do is put the extra into my pantry bucket. So as you're filling your bags, you just want to kind of stop and shake it up and adjust it a little bit. You want to make sure that it's going to close up really well. And that is pretty close to the whole 25-pound bag. Now, we're not going to seal it right yet. You want to wait until you get all of your buckets done. That way you're not opening your oxygen absorbers until you have to, until you're absolutely ready. All right, now we're gonna fill up our einkorn. And just so everybody knows, here it is. Organic, non-GMO einkorn. You can see that it is a 25-pound bag and there is the $59 price tag. Figuring out how to pull out these strings is like half the battle. Let's move on to rolled oats. All right, here's my big mama jamma. The rolled oats are such a big bag. Here's 50 pounds. And here's what the price is written on here. But here on the side is where it says certified organic rolled oats. And they were $48, but I can't find the price. I want to show you the difference and what we're doing with lids and difference in storage. If you are just storing in your pantry, you can simply use the 5-gallon bucket without a Mylar bag. Because you're gonna use this up pretty quickly if you're just storing it in your pantry. If you're doing the long-term storage, you've gotta have this Mylar bag for insect and moisture control. You don't want the light penetrating it either to damage your goods, so that's why you want this. Now tops are another thing where you have a choice. When the one that I use in my pantry, this is the top that I use. It is a Gamma seal lid. It has a rubber gasket here, and it also just spins on. So with the Gamma lid, it just hits and spins on. It's so much easier if it's gonna be in your pantry. Then you are able to grab it out, undo it, and use what you need really quickly. Now these that we're gonna be storing for long-term use, the lids are different, so they're not gonna spin off. They're actually gonna go straight on. They again have a rubber gasket, but they're gonna actually, we're gonna bang them on here and seal them, and then they will not come open until we break the seal on here. So you'll have to use, like, you can use a screwdriver or a hammer and break these all the way around, and then you'll be able to pull the lid off. They also have like fancy lid openers and things, but we've always just used like a really, you can even take like a chisel and hammer and break this open and then just pull the top off. So those are the two different types of lids depending on how you're gonna be storing it. All right, now it's time to get our oxygen absorbers. Now here they are. I have used them before and I have resealed them, and you're gonna see me be really quick. Drop, 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 drop in the buckets, and then I'm going to seal them very quickly, again with our vacuum sealer, so that these don't start activating and absorbing oxygen. So again, sugar does not need an oxygen absorber unless you want your sugar to become a brick. So I'm just gonna cut the package open. Cut it as close to the top as you can, also because you want to be able to reuse your bags. Like, don't. Apparently my scissors, blah, blah, blah. My scissors need to be a little sharper. All right, in a 5-gallon bucket, you only need one of these 20,000 packets. And so you're just gonna drop it right in. One oats, flowers. All right, and now I'm gonna seal it really quickly. So you want everything set up and ready to go so that you can immediately get this resealed. And I am done with the vacuum sealer. So there it is. All the oxygen is now out of these, and so they are stored and ready for me to use the next time that I need them. Now that the oxygen absorber is in the flour, we're gonna seal this up. So the easiest way I have found to do this is to fold the bag up, get all of the air out of it that you can. I take a board and just kind of lay it on my bucket. We're gonna fold this over, again, getting as much air out as you can. Now, the other trick is that I'm going to seal part of the bag and then stop, squeeze more air out before I seal the other end. So you just want your iron as hot as you can get it. You can also use a flat iron. So if you flat iron your hair, a straightener, you can actually use that to seal these bags. You will see that your bag starts getting kind of wrinkly here, and that is it just sealing and like melting the Mylar bag together. So it's gonna start, woo, and it's hot. It's gonna start sealing it here. You can see that it's sealed together. I just go over it several times to make sure that it's nice and sealed. And then when I get right here to the end, I go back and kind of just start folding this up and making sure I can get out as much air as possible. So I have just this little end open. And then we're gonna seal this one up as well. Now these bags can be reused. That's a really great thing, is that you're gonna seal it right now, but when you're ready to use the contents, you can, so what I do is when I'm ready to use a bag that has been in long-term storage, I open it up. You're gonna cut just below the seal So then your bag is open, and then once you refill it with new flour or sugar, whatever you're using, then you can keep resealing this bag until it's just gotten so short that you can't use it anymore. So that's one reason I don't mind getting the larger bags, because I know I'm gonna get plenty of use out of them. So that, it just got wrinkled there. Everything is sealed. So now I just fold it up. Then that pastry flour is sealed and ready to go into long-term storage. Now again, don't forget with your flours, you want to use them within like 6 to 12 months because they've already been processed. If you have wheat berries, you can keep them for years, and that's what we'll be moving to as soon as I get a grain meal. Next bucket. I'm sure you could use something really sophisticated like a hammer or a mallet, but the board seems to work. The other thing I wanted to point out is we probably haven't done a bulk shopping trip in maybe 5 to 6 months. So these things will last you a long time, and once you get like a year's worth or however much you want to have on hand, then all you're doing is refilling those buckets once you empty them. Well, thanks so much for joining us on the homestead today. I hope you saw how easy putting your bulk items into long-term food storage can be, and I hope you're gonna give it a try. Leave us a comment below. Let us know if this is something you already do or if it's something that you're interested in trying. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you guys tomorrow.